As soon as I stepped into the grand ballroom of the Evergreen Resort, I regretted coming. Crystal chandeliers spilled light over marble floors, while whispers of wealth floated through the air in reverent tones. Michael's hand pressed gently against the small of my back, steadying me. "Breathe," he murmured, his surgeon's gaze scanning me with cool precision. "We belong here." Leo tugged at his bow tie, already impatient. "Mom, this thing's choking me," my sister grumbled. I crouched to adjust it with a reassuring smile. "Just hang in there, buddy. Remember our deal, good behavior now. Swimming later." Then the crowd shifted, and my breath caught. A familiar silhouette surfaced, the tilt of a head, the forward lean in laughter. I hadn't seen that gesture in 11 years, but my body remembered. The bride turned with her champagne glass lifted, and our eyes collided. Grace, my sister. The champagne in my own hand quivered slightly, the only outward sign of the quake inside me. I hadn't recognized Daniel Brooks on the invitation. I never imagined Grace had changed her name. I assumed she was still Collins. Her sharp gasp sliced through the chatter like a blade. Conversation stalled. Mother's face drained white, then flushed red. Father instinctively moved to shield Grace, his broad frame a barrier, as always. "What are you doing here?" Mother hissed, loud enough to draw stares. Shame rose, a reflex I thought I'd buried. Suddenly, I was 21 again, standing in the rain with a suitcase and nowhere to go. Michael stepped forward, voice steady. "My wife is a guest. She's the CEO of Medova. We were personally invited by the groom." The word Medova rippled through the nearby cluster of doctors. I caught murmurs, saw recognition dawning. "That's Amber Collins." A woman in burgundy whispered. Memory crashed over me. The rain-soaked jacket, Father's voice booming. "If you're too ungrateful to help at the clinic, don't come back." The slam of the front door. But that girl was gone. I stood now in Valentino, CEO of a company I built from the ground up. Dr. Daniel Brooks approached, frowning slightly. His eyes flicked between Grace and me. "You know the CEO of Medova?" he asked my parents, then glanced back at me with clear interest. "We've been trying to partner with them for months. Their patient monitoring technology is transforming post-op care." Grace attempted a smile, brittle around the edges. My parents exchanged a glance heavy with panic as whispers swelled among the guests. I could have made a scene. I could have exposed 11 years of deceit, the lies they spread about me failing college. The tuition money funneled to Grace's needs. The power was finally mine. Instead, I said evenly, "Hello, Grace, congratulations." The simple words cracked like thunder. Grace flinched as if I'd shouted. Michael's hand rested again on my back, a silent question, "Stay or go?" Leo, oblivious to the storm, tugged my skirt. "Mom, is the lady in the white dress your friend?" Daniel's gaze sharpened. His eyes moved between us, confusion taking root. "Grace, I thought you said your sister was." He stopped, the unfinished thought dangling. For the first time, I saw my sister at a loss for words. The easy choice would have been to slip out quietly, let her have her perfect day. But regret is often just fear in disguise. And I'd stopped being afraid a long time ago. Daniel wrapped his arm around her waist, smiling for the crowd. "And this is my wife, Grace, Stanford grad, and the brilliant mind behind her family's clinic back in Vermont." I sipped untouched champagne, watching Grace nod graciously as she introduced herself to a group of physicians. Her pearls caught the light with that familiar head tilt. My childhood tell that she was about to bend the truth. "The Collins Clinic has proudly served our community for 30 years. She recited smoothly. "We focus on family medicine and geriatric care." Michael nudged me. A silver-haired woman beside us was studying my badge. "Medova," she breathed. "You're Amber Collins. Your keynote at the summit was incredible. Your monitoring system is revolutionizing recovery across 3 states? 4, I corrected with a polite smile. "We just finalized Northwestern's network." Across the room, Grace faltered when asked about platelet therapy trends. "Didn't Stanford move away from that approach 3 years ago?" a doctor asked, puzzled. Her laugh pitched too high. "Well, you know academics. Some cling to old methods longer than others." Daniel's expression shifted almost imperceptibly. His arm loosened around her. He was noticing. "Amber," the voice behind me, older, rougher, but the same commanding tone that once sent me running to answer phones while Grace played piano. "My father." "You need to leave," he said firmly, placing himself between me and the room. "You're ruining her day." Michael stiffened. I steadied him with a touch. Daniel invited me. I replied coolly. Perhaps you'd like to explain why that bothers you. His face reddened. The expensive suit couldn't mask the truth. He was still just a small-town doctor, whose power ended at his clinic's door. Don't act innocent. Showing up, parading your so-called company Medova isn't so-called, Michael interjected, every inch the Harvard-trained surgeon. Your daughter was the keynote speaker in Boston. Her technology is in 27 hospitals nationwide. A ripple of acknowledgement moved through the nearby doctors. Across the room, my mother flapped helplessly around Grace, trying to corral attention away from me. Too late, the connections were forming. Leo tugged my hand. Mom, can I have cake? Now, you promised. His eyes slid toward Grace. Is that lady your sister? Did she go to Stanford like you? My father's face paled. Before he could react, Leo continued, you showed me pictures of your red buildings. They were pretty. Grace and Daniel had drifted closer. Her face froze. Stanford. Daniel's voice held a dangerous edge. You went to Stanford too, Amber. Class of 2014, I answered simply. A distinguished cardiologist nearby perked up. You didn't mention your wife's sister was Amber Collins. Her predictive algorithms have cut readmission rates by 22% at Northwestern alone. Grace visibly sagged under the weight of her lies. Daniel's arm shifted slightly away from her as the professionals turned their attention toward me. The memory hit my dorm window streaked with rain. My bank account empty. My college fund gone. The same day Grace posted Cancun spring break photos online. I forced myself back to the present. Across the ballroom, Daniel's voice rose enough to carry. You told me you graduated Stanford, he said, disbelief sharpening to steel. I went there. I've never heard your name. Grace stammered. It was mostly remote, a special program. Stanford doesn't offer remote medical degrees. He cut in, his voice echoing. And just like that, the perfect facade began to crack. Daniel's tone has turned to ice than I've ever heard. Grace's face pales as the reality hits. The life she built so carefully is starting to crumble. Her gaze flicks around the ballroom, finally locking on mine with sheer desperation. Daniel steps back, adjusts his tie with a crisp motion, and turns. Each deliberate stride carries him away from Grace and directly toward me. Behind him, her tearful eyes follow like a drowning woman watching her last lifeline drift out of reach. He reaches me, his hand settling gently on my elbow, steering me away from the crowd. His fingers trembled just enough to betray the steady surge in Faka. Let's find somewhere quieter, he says. His voice is even, though his eyes keep darting back to where Grace stands with my parents. Their heads bent together in frantic whispers. We retreat to a small alcove at the edge of the ballroom, 2 plush chairs separated by a tiny table. Dim light throws shifting shadows across his face, etching the sharp planes of his confusion. I'm sorry about all of this, I say, breaking the silence. He fusses with his bow tie. Words stumbling. I didn't. His voice trails off into the space between us. You didn't know Grace had a sister, I finish for him, keeping my tone neutral. His eyes widen. She mentioned you once. Said you dropped out after a semester, that the pressure broke you and you disappeared. The old hurt pulses, but I don't flinch. Years of boardroom battles have taught me how to bleed behind an unshaken expression. I graduated summa cum laude, I reply simply, while working 3 jobs. His brow furrows. 3 jobs. Mornings at a coffee shop, evenings at the hospital reception desk, weekends at a call center. No family support, just stubbornness and exhaustion. I put myself through school part-time. Each word lands between us like a stone, rippling outward. I watch his analytical mind recalibrate. Stanford, he asks, naming his own alma mater. I shake my head. Community college first. Then State University. I couldn't afford Stanford after I found out my college fund had been. I pause, carefully choosing my words. Redirected to Grace's education, he finishes, the puzzle clicking into place. The room blurs as old memories surge. 6 months sleeping on Sarah's lumpy couch. Showering at the YWCA after Jaime's boyfriend kicked me out. Surviving on ramen to save for textbooks. Begging professors for extensions because I couldn't stay awake after triple shifts. The hospital reception desk. I continue. That's where I met Michael. He was a resident then. I remember that night vividly, hunched over a healthcare administration textbook, exhaustion tugging at my eyelids. Michael stopped by my desk, intrigued by the diagrams I'd sketched. In the margins, you understand Kellerman's patient flow theory. he asked, surprised. It's flawed, I said without looking up. The bottleneck is between departmental documentation requirements, not intake. He pulled up a chair. We talked until my break ended. The next day, he brought coffee and questions. Within months, we were developing the prototype that became Madova's cornerstone product. Daniel leans forward. Madova Grace told me you worked some office job. A faint smile curves my lips. We started in our apartment 7 years ago. Last quarter's revenue was just under $400 million. Across the ballroom, I spot my parents flanking Grace like anxious sentinels. Dennis paces in tight circles, face red, while Margaret grips Grace's arm, knuckles bone white. They keep throwing frantic looks in our direction. They're going to try to separate us soon, I remark calmly. Daniel follows my gaze. They seem concerned. Michael approaches. Phone angled casually at his side, a quiet tactic for documenting hostile situations. Everything all right here? He asks, his surgeon's eyes scanning me in an instant. Just catching up, I reply, warmth blooming in my chest. He sees me exactly as I am, not as the family narrative would have him believe. Right on cue. Margaret bustles over, voice pitched high with feigned cheer. Daniel, someone from Boston General is dying to meet you. Her eyes slide past me as if I'm invisible, a familiar sting. Daniel doesn't move. In a moment, Margaret, Amber, and I are having an important conversation. Her smile tightens like a stretched mask, always needing attention. Aren't you, Amber? She pivots to the nearest guests. She's always been jealous of her sister's accomplishments. The accusation hangs in the air, acrid as smoke. Guests glance between us, uncomfortable. I sit poised, back straight. Michael's hand rests lightly on my shoulder, my silent anchor. 20 minutes later, when the bathroom door swings open, I'm not surprised to find Grace inside, reapplying mascara with trembling hands. Our eyes meet in the mirror. Why are you doing this to me? She demands, voice breaking. I wash my hands slowly. Doing what exactly? Ruining my wedding. Making Daniel question everything. Tears carve streaks through her makeup. I'm not doing anything, I reply softly. I'm just existing. She slams the mascara wand onto the marble. You were supposed to stay gone. And there it is, the fear behind her fury. The terror of a house of cards collapsing. They told everyone you were a dropout. She says, words tumbling like a confession. That you couldn't handle responsibility, that you were, and yet here I am. I interrupt gently, handling quite a lot. When I return to the ballroom, my composure is intact. Michael's hand finds mine. Grace appears moments later, makeup repaired but something broken in her eyes. The shift in the room is immediate. Curiosity draws guests toward us. A neurosurgeon chats with Michael about patient monitoring. A hospital administrator presses her card into my hand. Your post-op monitoring system cut our complication rate by 30%. We'd love to expand its use. Daniel listens closely, asking sharp questions. His new bride lingers on the outskirts. UNMOORED. Dennis approaches, chest puffed for confrontation. Daniel, he booms. This is Grace's wedding. Let's focus on her accomplishments. The silence that follows is heavy, drowning out everything else. Eyes flick between Daniel, Dennis, and Grace, whose smile is stretched paper thin. No one speaks. No one needs to. Sometimes silence reveals more than words ever could. I hand my half-empty champagne flute to a passing server and glance at my watch. We've stayed long enough. Michael catches my eye across the room, nodding as he slips free of an eager orthopedic surgeon. We're in sync, as always. Are we leaving now? Leo tugs my hand, hope shining in his eyes. Swimming pool time, yes, buddy. Just one last thing. From my clutch, I pull a small cream envelope. Inside is a certificate for my stock, not a fortune, but enough to make a point. This is who I am now. Not the desperate girl they discarded. Michael joins us, his hand warm at the small of my back. Ready? He asks. Almost. I scan the room for Daniel. Courtesy is owed, even if his in-laws have none. We find him near the bar. Watching Grace with an expression I know too well, the first seeds of doubt sprouting where certainty once lived. My sister works the room with practiced charm. I think, noticing how she flinches at medical terms, how quickly she changes the subject. We're heading out, I tell Daniel, handing him the envelope. Congratulations, again. He accepts it warmly. Thank you for coming, especially considering His eyes flick toward my parents, still circling like vultures. I appreciate it, and I mean it, I reply. Closing this chapter matters more than I realized. He leans closer, voice low. I'd like to visit Moldova sometime. Professionally, our eyes meet in unspoken understanding passing between us. He doesn't know everything, but he knows enough. My assistant will arrange it. I offer my business card. Catching Grace's brittle smile cracking like porcelain, Margaret glides over. Social mask perfectly in place. Amber was always so driven, she tells a guest lightly. Of course, she had advantages we couldn't give Grace. The blatant rewrite of history would have gutted me once. Now, it's almost funny. And what advantages were those? Mrs. Collins. Michael's tone is mild, almost curious. The 3 jobs she worked while putting herself through night school, or sleeping on friends' couches after you emptied her tuition fund. Mother's expression tightens, but a small group of Daniel's colleagues has drifted within earshot. She falters for a moment, recalculating. Leo tugs my sleeve, looking puzzled. Aren't they your family, Mom? His innocent question stills every conversation nearby, simple, direct, and unintentionally brutal. I crouch to meet his gaze. They're relatives, sweetheart. Family is something else. That's when father strides over. Chest puffed the way it always did when I was young and easy to intimidate. You can't just waltz back into our lives, he declares. And I have no desire to walk back into anything. I reply, my voice quiet but firm. I'm not here to expose you or reconcile. I built my own life, the one you forced me to create when you pushed me out. An old image rises unbidden, rain soaking my jacket, the weight of my suitcase, the hollow terror of freedom with nothing left to lose. Behind me, Leo fidgets with his bow tie. Michael rests a hand on our son's shoulder, watching him the same way he once watched me back when I thought I wouldn't survive. Thank you, I tell my parents, making them blink in confusion. Thank you for refusing to give me a chance. You made me build my own. Mother's face twists between fury and the need to maintain her social facade. For once, she says nothing. I take Leo's hand. Michael falls into step beside us as we walk out, steady, composed, whole. No dramatic speeches, no tears. Just the quiet triumph of leaving intact. Whispers ripple behind us like distant rain. Unlike that night 11 years ago, they can't touch me. My accomplishments shield me now. In the lobby, Leo spins in delight. Pool time. 10 minutes to change and I'll meet you there, Michael says, ruffling his hair as we head toward the elevators. I catch our reflection in the polished marble. A family of 3 solid, connected through the ballroom doors. I glimpse Daniel watching us go, then turning back to his new bride, with questions in his eyes. Some weddings mark beginnings. This one marked an ending, the final release of expectations I never needed to fulfill, of approval I no longer crave, and pain I refuse to carry. Leo punches the elevator button with determination. Up we go. Yes, I whisper, up we go. Sunlight spills through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my office, casting long shadows across the concrete floors. A month has passed since Grace's wedding, though the memory still lingers. Like a dream half remembered, a partnership proposal from Boston Memorial sprawls across my desk, an 8-figure contract. Moldova's patient monitoring system reduced post-surgical complications by 37% in their trial. Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't play favorites. My assistant's voice crackles over the intercom. Dr. Daniel Brooks is here to see you. My pen stills. I haven't spoken to my sister's husband since that night. Send him in. Daniel enters, shoulders bowed, suit wrinkled, dark circles beneath his eyes. Thank you for seeing me without an appointment. He stands awkwardly until I gesture to the chair across from me. Coffee? He shakes his head. I can't stay long. I wait. Silence has power. I've learned that. I consulted a lawyer about annulment options. He blurts out. Everything Grace told me was a lie. She never went to Stanford. She never managed your parents' clinic. She's just the receptionist. I'm not surprised. The lies were always there, just waiting for someone to notice. I'm sorry, I say, and I mean it. He swallows hard. Your parents made her the face of their practice while his voice falters. He runs a hand through his hair. They've been billing Medicare for procedures they never performed, using outdated codes on purpose. Grace helped them. The revelation feels less like a shock and more like confirmation of what I've long suspected. I didn't want to drag you back into this, Daniel adds, but while investigating Grace's background, I found odd patterns. Discrepancies. Your name appeared in old clinic records, then vanished right around the time you left 11 years ago. Outside, the skyline wavers in the summer heat. I built this life from nothing. They built theirs on lies. They used my college fund for grace, I say quietly. When I confronted them, they told me I wasn't Stanford material. Daniel flinches. Ironically, I never wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to fix medical systems, make them efficient and accurate. He gestures around my office. And you've done it. Medova is changing post-surgical care nationwide. A comfortable silence settles. The clinic is under investigation. He admits at last. I submitted anonymous evidence after uncovering the fraud. They've been doing it for 15 years since, right around the time you left. My phone buzzes with a text from Michael, picking up Leo early. Zuday, join us. Warmth spreads in my chest. This is my family now. What will you do? I ask. He squares his shoulders. File for annulment, cooperate with investigators. Start over. He hesitates. I came to apologize for pulling you back into this, and to ask, do you plan to get involved? The question hangs heavy. One call from Medova CEO could destroy my parents. No, I decide. I built my life away from them. I intend to keep it that way. Relief crosses his face. Thank you for seeing me. After he leaves, I stand at the window. Traffic flowing 40 stories below. My phone vibrates. Grace's number again. The third voicemail this week. Michael calls as I pack up to meet them at the zoo. You sound tired, he says. Daniel came by. The family clinic's under Medicare fraud investigation. A pause. Are you okay? Yes. The honesty of it surprises me. Are you going to get involved? I watch a red-tailed hawk glide between skyscrapers, effortless in the wind. I was thinking about what you said. My success is already their punishment. I stand by that, Michael replies. But it's your choice. My computer chimes an email from an attorney representing the investigation. They want my testimony. Attached are forms requesting records from when I worked at the clinic. They want me to testify. I tell Michael, what will you do? I weigh the choice. One part of me wants to ignore it, let justice come without my fingerprints. Another part remembers the elderly patients whose trust in Medicare benefits were stolen. I'll forward them copies of the clinic's old records. Nothing more, nothing less, just the facts. I'm proud of you, Michael says. Another buzz. Grace again. Her third voicemail today. The first begged for money. The second threatened to tell Leo the truth about me. I delete the third unheard. The small click feels final. Leo wants to see the tiger cubs. Michael says, grounding me back in what matters. Tell him I'm on my way. I pause at the door, glancing back at the Boston Memorial contract waiting on my desk. A testament to what I built from sheer determination and sleepless nights. I close the door behind me, leaving Grace's messages in digital oblivion where they belong. Some debts can't be repaid. Some wounds never truly heal. But moving forward doesn't always need forgiveness. Sometimes it only needs release. 6 months later, the purple coneflowers in my garden lean toward the sun. I pinch away a wilted bloom, adding it to my palm. 6 months of breathing freely, like stepping out of shoes that never fit. Leo races between the raised beds, his Batman cape flying. Mom, can I water the tomatoes? Start with the peppers, I tell him, pointing to the drooping leaves. They're thirsty. He grips his tiny watering can, tongue sticking out as he carefully pours. The mid-May sun warms my shoulders through a plain t-shirt. No designer labels. Just peace. Michael steps out with a tray. 3 glasses of lemonade balanced with practiced care. Reinforcements have arrived. Michael calls playfully as he steps down into our humble backyard. The same skilled hands that repair fragile heart valves now hand a glass of lemonade to our son with exaggerated flourish. Much obliged. Kind sir, Leo replies, attempting an unsteady bow that nearly sends his drink splashing to the ground. Over our boy's head, Michael's gaze catches mine. No words pass between us, yet the meaning is clear. This is what matters, the garden. The child, the life we carved out of nothing but grit and honesty. As if mentioning the weather, Michael remarks, the Davis Hospital Board just signed off on the patient monitoring system. We both know the weight behind those words. It's the 5th major hospital chain this year to implement Medova's technology. Thousands more patients will heal safely because of what we built. That's number 5. Leo announces with pride, holding up all his fingers. Mom helps all the sick people get better faster. I ruffle his hair, amazed at how much he absorbs. That's the goal, buddy. The chime of the doorbell drifts from inside. Michael arches a brow, expecting something, probably FedEx. I answer, those component samples from Switzerland. But when Michael comes back, his expression has changed. He's holding a certified letter, the return address visible even from where I stand. Grace Collins, Brooks. My stomach knots an old, familiar tension I thought I'd buried. I'll be in my office, I murmur. The envelope rests on my desk for 17 minutes while I finish quarterly projections. Michael leans quietly against the doorframe, a silent pillar of support. When I finally slit it open, a single sheet of cream-colored stationery slips out. Covered in Grace's neat handwriting, Amber, the clinic shut down last month. Not because of you, because of everything Mom and Dad did. The investigation uncovered billing irregularities going back 15 years. Daniel left me. He said he couldn't build a life with someone he couldn't trust. He's right. I'm not asking for money. I know better now. I'm writing to tell you this. You were never the problem. I was raised to believe your intelligence threatened mine, that your independence made me unsafe. I believed them when they said cutting you off was necessary. They were wrong. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Grace. Michael doesn't ask what the letter says. He simply waits until I refold it and slide it back into its envelope. What will you do? He asks quietly. Nothing dramatic, I reply. Turning to my computer, I open a document, type for several minutes, and print a single page. I tuck it into a Moldova envelope along with my response. 2 weeks later, I find myself at the American Medical Technology Conference in Chicago, watching our team present the newest innovations to an audience of healthcare professionals. The Moldova booth hums with energy. Our reputation precedes us now. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I notice a figure in pale blue scrubs near the education pavilion. Grace, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, listens attentively as a speaker explains entry-level medical coding certification. Across the crowded hall, our eyes meet. There are no gasps, no theatrics, only quiet recognition. She clutches the Moldova internship application I sent, holding it like a lifeline. I give her a slight nod, not forgiveness, exactly, but acknowledgement. She nods back, eyes shining with something that might be resolve. We don't approach each other. Some relationships aren't meant to continue. They simply reach completion. That evening, I finalized the paperwork for the Collins first-generation medical scholarship, not in honor of my parents, but reclaiming my birth name for something better. Starting next fall, 20 students without family support will receive full tuition and mentorship. Back home, I kneel in our garden, pressing small seedlings into the soil. Leo helps, patting dirt around each delicate root. Some plants can't grow too close to others, I explain. They need space to thrive. Like people. He asks, remarkably insightful. Smart boy, I whisper, kissing his forehead. Exactly like people. The sun spills golden light over the yard. Through the kitchen window, Michael moves easily, preparing dinner in the home we built together. I place another seed into the earth and cover it gently. Some roots you inherit, others you choose.